Hey, welcome back to Fletch Live. This is going to be episode number 4.
4. Is it really
4? Episode 4. That's right.
Yeah, but I've only been around for 3, so sure.
You've only been around 3.
3 for me.
Yeah, the hidden episode 1 is the lost episode. We're gonna release that later on. And back with me once again, Wes from Silver Screen Toys and Collectibles.
Hey everybody, good to be back.
Wes has been digging into some really cool stuff about cutting the cord, because actually after our last episode we had a little chit chat. We're complaining about different internet services and TV services and whatnot, and Wes was explaining he's actually cut his cord completely. No cable, no satellite dish. Yep. Just Netflix and what else do you use?
At our place. So at our house, we're Netflix and Amazon Prime Video. Believe it or not,
Amazon Prime
Video. But like prior to being a cord cutter, like I can tell you, like in the years that I moved around and stuff, like we've tried everything. Like we've had standard cable package. I've had satellite, both Bell Expressview and Shaw. So I mean I've tried it all, and when I moved back to the area here, life just took a different turn, and suddenly I'm not as concerned with what I'm watching anymore. So a traditional cable service just wasn't, it wasn't worth paying for a traditional cable service that I just wasn't fully using. So we are cord cutters in our house. How about you?
I kind of want to be a cord cutter. I'm watching what happens with this one streaming service, because they have a lot of sports on it. They have Premier Soccer. I can't remember what it's called offhand because I haven't looked into it. They do have Russian hockey, believe it or not. I actually kind of follow a bit. And
nice.
Moscow Red Army, which my team is actually in the finals for their championship, so that's exciting.
That's awesome.
Nobody else really cares in the world. They do show NFL though.
Okay.
So that's a big thing, because for me, it's about the sports.
Yeah.
Other than that, I use the PVR for different shows like Family Guy or the Goldbergs. Yep. Different shows, and I'll throw them on at odd times of the day because it's on. And so with PVR, I can put them on whenever. But other than that, I don't really watch much. Oh, then the news.
Sure.
Right, with all the different news channels that are 24/7. So, that's why I haven't completely cut the cord as of yet.
Well, I mean, if you were going to be a cord cutter, it probably would come as no surprise that you do have options, albeit in Canada, sometimes you feel like those options might be a little bit limited, but you do have options. And so this is a good little lead into one of the first options. And this is an interesting one too, because this one really, like networks, they still broadcast in the old fashioned way with radio waves. I mean, there's still content out there that is 100% free, that you can pull it out of the airwaves and you can watch it on your TV free of charge. But of course it's governed by the laws of physics. And of course, radio waves and how radio waves work is going to determine what you're going to get and where you're going to get it. So HD antennas, are you familiar with these?
Yes, my dad's been experimenting with one, which is
up here.
Kind of, he has. You'd have to talk to him how he had one that fell apart, and then he tried another one, and I think he was rebuilding it with tin foil.
Oh, did he mention by any chance how was he getting anything on it?
Yeah, he did. I didn't see exactly what he was getting on it, but the problem with this is there's your options for PVR limited. There is ways of recording it. Yeah, but you can't put a timer. No, or if you can, I don't know about it yet.
I'm not really sure. I know that there's different models, and I've seen a couple different ones. Like there are ones that are like they look like traditional antennas that you can put on your building or on your house. They also have ones that are like, let's say you live in an urban center like Toronto, for example. They're like peel and stick. They stick on your window.
Yes,
and they go to your TV. But so one of the articles when I was doing some of the research for today's show, there's a depending on where you live in Toronto, believe it or not. So this is just right out of the airwaves. If you have a digital antenna, depending on where you are in the city, take a wild guess at how many channels you can pull out of the air for free.
No, 20, 25, 25?
Yeah. So would you believe up to 52 channels? Yeah.
In Toronto.
Yeah, 52 channels, depending on where you are. So I'm assuming these have got to be.
Well, I guess you're getting stuff from like Buffalo and Rochester.
Well, this is the thing, right? So when the weather is good and there's no weather, stuff's coming over the lake, right?
Right.
So, yeah. And the 52 channels, that includes all of the major U.S. networks and a whack of cable channels. So, I mean, 52 channels, that's rivaling pretty much anybody's basic cable package. And
that's ridiculous. Yeah.
So for a one-time
I'm not surprised with Rochester because, we had the old antenna growing up.
Yeah.
With the
with the big motor.
Yeah. Which is funny because every once in a while I'll go to a cottage and they'll have one, and I'm pretty amazed I can dial it in pretty good. I'm like, don't ask. It's been too long. But once in a while we would get like Rochester and stuff.
Yeah. I know at our place. I don't know if you remember. You remember at my parents' house when we had one. The thing to do with it was climb it to see who was at the top of the toboggan hill.
Wow.
Okay, but I digress. That's nothing to do with what we're talking about. Cord cutting. So what else is out there? There is the topic of, and I didn't really dive into it because it's a bit of a gray area, but the Android box. I know that they've become hugely popular in the last few years, and there's a question about the legality of these things.
Big gray area. Yeah. I've seen them in operation, and they're kind of hit and miss. The quality to some of them aren't there, little pixelated. But I have a feeling that they're going to get cracked down on pretty quick.
I see it as, it's funny because I see it a similar situation. Like, I mean, the guys who were doing the pirate satellite cards back in the early thousands that went through this, right? So, the companies were cracking down on it, and they kept, spooling the codes. It was going from a monthly thing down to twice a month to, once a week. And then eventually you just couldn't keep up with it.
That's right. That's right.
Now, I'm not a lawyer by any means, but my understanding with the Android boxes is there's a precedence depending on which province you're in, whether this is legal or not. So the gist is, if you are not downloading the content, it's not technically illegal, at least not in the province of Ontario. As
the end user.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you're the person distributing it, that's right. Where yes.
So just to make it clear, there's nothing illegal about the device itself. The hardware itself, it's completely legal. It's 100% legal. You can go down to Walmart, you can buy an Android box, you can take it home, and yes, you can load it up with apps, all the same apps that you could load up on your Android phone. So people use them for gaming. They use them for, streaming apps that are legitimately purchased through the Play Store. But it's the software that allows you to access all these other programs and streams. That's where the gray area is, and like you say, like that is going to be cracked down on, and they are starting to do it already.
Yeah,
but as a cord cutter, you have lots of other options available to you. There's the Amazon Fire Stick. You've got Google Chromecast, I think is one. I use here in the store. I use Roku, Apple TV. So there's lots of devices that you can get connected.
What are your thoughts on the Roku?
Well, it's funny because Roku has a deal with RCA, which is not the RCA that you remember when we were kids. It's pretty cheap Chinese stuff, but they're building them into RCA TVs, and for the entry price point was really, you couldn't really argue with it. And most of the streaming services, at least the ones that I use, the paid ones anyway are on there. So like Netflix and Amazon, I stream it through the Roku, and I have no issues with it. It works It works fine. Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
one of my options I'm looking into is a Roku. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So we bought them a couple of years ago, and so in this last few months, we've just upgraded the TV in our living room to a 4K TV. Our Roku's are only up to 1080p. So if we wanted to access 4K programming through the Roku, then we have to get a 4K box.
Right.
So, but still, like price wise, they're fairly affordable. So yeah, streaming services. So streaming services in Canada. When we talk about streaming services, I think most people, I don't know about you, but I still first and foremost I think of Netflix.
Absolutely, Netflix I would say is the biggest, the number one brand in streaming services.
Yeah, and they are, but I mean that is quickly changing. The streaming landscape is constantly evolving. Everybody and their dog wants to get in on it. But yeah, so when we talk about,
it was even funny when it first came out. I remember thinking, well, this is a neat idea. Well, that's kind of cool. But yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So when we talk about streaming services in Canada, how many services do you think are available right now?
I can only really name the few that you've mentioned. Like so Amazon.
Yeah.
Roku, as we just said.
Yeah.
Netflix. I guess CBC technically, because you can watch stuff on that. Oh, yes, CTV post stuff.
Right.
And what drives me nuts is CTV like, and streaming at 8 o'clock. Like, if it's on TV, it's not streaming. That's a broadcast.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, I think the same way that you do. I don't think of the broadcaster's website as being a streaming service, but technically they are. If they're broadcasting it over the air and they're broadcasting it over the internet, that is a stream. So
yeah, technically it's a stream. It's just
if you include, I know. But if you include all of the websites on top of all of the app-based streaming, and I mean the numbers that I have here, they could be wrong already because, like I say, this is a space that is evolving very quickly. But as of my research, which is a couple of days old, there are 29. There's a mix of 29 browser-based and app-based streaming services. 14 of those are free, and 15 of those are paid. So, like I say, the big ones, like for example, like here's a few that these are. Here's the free ones, like the Family Channel. The Family Channel is a free one. The National Film Board of Canada, which I actually
I've looked up stuff on that.
Yeah, I've got that one on the Roku, and every once in a while I'll watch something on it, but not very often. But they're out there, so there's a lot of like the national broadcaster CBC. You can watch a lot of their stuff for free on their website. Global, CTV, Much Music does stream some shows. Outdoor Life, but then you get into the paid ones, right? And here's one that when you get into paid ones, this is where you kind of get into the weeds, right? Because some services are available in Canada, but they put limitations on them, right? And that comes down to like licensing issues, right? So, for example, YouTube, believe it or not, YouTube has 2 paid streaming services. So I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, they launched what they called their YouTube Red.
I did not know this.
Yeah, YouTube Red. So that's where they were their Karate Kid spinoff show, Cobra Kai.
That No. I was thinking Netflix for some reason. No, YouTube.
No, YouTube. Yes. Yeah. So YouTube launched what they called YouTube Red, which was supposed to be their answer to Netflix, and it was going to be the big drive or the big draw for YouTube Red was going to be ad free. But that's YouTube's revenue stream. That's their model is ad-based revenues. So the only way to deliver you as a consumer ad-free was to charge you for it. So YouTube Red has since been changed. It's now called YouTube Premium. So if you want to pay for YouTube Premium to get your ad-free stuff, that's going to cost you $11.99 a month.
And now they also have YouTube Music.
YouTube Music, yeah, and there's a free, kind of like Spotify. You get a free one and you get a paid one.
Yeah. But I downloaded the app. I tried it.
Yeah.
And you have to be in the app to play. It won't play in the background.
Really?
That's right. And that was
Okay.
people's complaint about watching music on YouTube or listening to music on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because once you on your phone, once you switched out, you lost it.
Yeah. So get this. If you live in the States, they have a new service that they're calling, what are they calling this? They're calling it YouTube TV. So YouTube TV, it's not available in Canada, but it costs $49.99 US per month. And
$50?
Yeah, $50 US a month. But for $50, you're going to get 80 channels, about 80 channels, including all the networks and a bunch of the premium cable channels. And there's no word if this is coming to Canada anytime soon, if at all. But interesting that they have two services. Yeah.
I'll be curious to see if that even pans out.
What about Crave or Crave TV?
Oh yeah, Crave, definitely.
You're on the Crave?
Once you mention it, I'm not on Crave. I'm not on any of these.
So that's something that has changed very recently. So it's no longer called Crave TV. It's just called Crave. And when it first launched, you had to buy it. You had to be an existing either Bell customer, or you had to get it as an add-on through your cable provider. So now, as of, when was this? It's just changed recently, and I want to say in the last couple of months, that it's now, what happened was Crave TV absorbed the movie network. And when they did that, they rebranded themselves. They dropped the TV portion and just called themselves Crave.
That makes sense.
But now you can subscribe to it as a standalone service. That will cost you $19.99 per month. Yeah, and that's where you're going to get access to things like HBO, which is a shame because HBO actually has their own mobile app, HBO Go, but you can't get HBO Go in Canada. So if you want HBO programming, you still have to basically get in bed with Bell.
No, exactly, because Saturday Night Live is very good at keeping their content off YouTube. Yeah. Very hard, because I'll be at work and we'll be discussing like old clips from the 90s, and I try to pull it up just to show Buddy the clip, and you can't find it. Yeah. And if you go on the NBC app or the website, you see it, but when you click on it, it says not available in your country. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's regionally blocked. The other one, what's the other big one? Hulu, isn't that's another, which is technically now Disney owned. Disney's becoming a monster, but Hulu, which was supposed to be I think NBC, all the NBC programming, that's not available in Canada. But CBS All Access, that is available in Canada. But this is the thing, like, it really bothers me, and I'm not the only one. Like, a lot of people that I've spoken to, at least that you talk with over the internet, they all say the same thing. Like, why is it when I put on, say, Netflix, for example, I get different content than, say, what they get in England or Australia or any other region? And again, that's where, like I say, it comes back to these licensing deals. And so the big telecoms, so Bell, Rogers, and Shaw, they all enter their own agreements with these services, and that determines how you're going to be able to get your stuff. So, like, for example, with the CBS All Access thing, CBS owns Star Trek, right? Right. They also own The Big Bang Theory. So if you're in the States and you're subscribing to CBS All Access, you can watch both of those in one place. But if you want to watch Star Trek in Canada, you got to watch it on the Space Channel. But yet The Big Bang Theory shows on CTV. So it's really frustrating to be a cord cutter in Canada when you are forced, because of these business decisions, to shop around. And then, of course, you're adding on stuff that maybe you never wanted, like for example, like with the satellite companies, we'll give you a package, but the one channel that you want, it's going to be bundled in with the 40 channels you don't want. Oh, it drives me nuts. And they'll take like a sports channel and drop one in each different package. Yeah, of course. Blatantly. Oh, it drives me nuts. Yeah. So, and then there's a whole bunch of other
services that are available in Canada right now, like Rogers has their NHL Live package, TSN Direct, Sportsnet Now, Major League Baseball, and then there's a few other ones. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Just checking my notes here. Where do I want to go? Oh, and here's an interesting one that I found. Something called the Criterion Channel, and this actually just launched. What's today? The 15th. So this launched on the 8th of April, and it seems like this is going to be an art house type of service, which is going to include a bunch of documentaries made by filmmakers on the filmmaking process. And then it goes on to say that more than 1,000 important classical and contemporary films from a constantly refreshed selection of Hollywood, international art house, and independent films from major studios, as well as dozens of independent distributors. Go deep with the Criterion Collection's archive of special features for content that no other service can match. So really, it's another channel with old movies.
Old movies.
Yeah, really.
Because Turner Classics just wasn't doing it for us.
Yeah, really. Yeah. But yeah, so that really going back to sort of the what's coming, or what, like I said early on, is that everybody and their dog really wants to get in on this on the streaming game themselves, because one thing that these companies realize is that what do they call it? The box, the Nielsen box. The Nielsen box that American families would be selected to be a Nielsen family, and then they would track your viewing habits, and that's how they come up with ratings. And that information is very select. Essentially, nobody has, or at least had, a better metric than what Netflix had. They knew exactly how many people were watching. They knew exactly what they were watching. They know when they're watching it. So, I mean, they have the best model out there. And so now all the studios are getting their hands wet. They're like, you know what? Netflix has got a great thing. We want a piece of that. So slowly but surely, all these licensing deals for all this content is letting lapse. And so stuff that you used to be able to just, I'll just wait for it to go to Netflix. Well, Netflix is not a guarantee anymore. So when we looked at sort of things that are coming, like I just picked out a couple here. And there's a lot. There's quite a few coming. How about this one? Oh, actually, this one probably should. This one should be a good one for you. DC Universe.
It's already out, isn't it? Isn't there a DC channel? So DC Universe is out in the States now, according to what I read the other day. We have to see it on Netflix. What I saw, yeah, because Titans is airing on Netflix. But apparently, according to what I read, and I couldn't find another source to back it up or not, but what I read said that the service is in a beta here in Canada. I don't know I have no idea who's part of that. And if you're one of the DC Universe beta guys, I want to hear from you. I want to know exactly what you're getting so we can do a follow-up on that. So I want to quickly interject here on what Wes is getting at. Check this out. So I was on the DC network and now on Netflix. If you ever watch Titans, it's episode 11. And near the end. And I don't think it's a spoiler now. I'm going to throw a clip up here. Check this out. Yeah.
Before we begin, let me make this very clear. This operation is a hard target extraction. We go in with full and overwhelming force. But our explicit goal is to bring in Batman, Bruce Wayne, alive.
There it is. So, yeah, even though I'm a little blurry at the end, though, you can tell, look at this bald head. And then there's a couple clips that are running into Wayne Manor. So it's kind of cool because this is my guy. And technically, I got to help blow up the Wayne Manor and the Batcave. I won't tell you how it actually turned out there, but spoiler. It didn't go so well for the cops that went down the tunnel. I was a smart cop, stayed up there and was part of the SWAT team. So, but I mean,
DC, they've got a good thing going. They know that they've got lots of I guess you could call it premium content. I mean, the DC, the movie universe, like it or not, it's here to stay, I think. And so that content is slowly going to get filtered over.
I think
and
they also have some ground to make up. It feels like Marvel's head and
Yeah,
shoulders above them right now.
Well, you're talking 22 movies over 10 years building on one common thread. And DC
Wow.
really, DC and Warner Brothers, they really sort of we got to play catch up. And they kind of didn't follow the same model. They didn't do we're going to give everybody a solo movie first and then do our big team thing. We're going to go like, nope, we're going to do one movie to set it up and then right into Justice League. And, like it or not, I mean, it had its issues. And the whole, switching directors, and it was what it was. So, but yeah, so DC Universe. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. Are you a
Yeah,
DC or a Marvel guy?
There's room in the fan space for both of them in my world.
Are they?
Yeah, there really is. In the movie universe, totally. There's superheroes. You give me superheroes, and I'm going to watch them.
In West's store, there's room for everybody.
No, there really is.
Actually, it's funny. Maybe at the end here, I'll tell you. I figured out that Star Wars and Star Trek can coexist.
Of course they can. Sure, they can.
I'll say that to the end, though, with my theory.
Yeah, sure. But they're smart because DC recognizes that, like, if you go to their comic book properties, comic books in general, like, readership is down. Print media is just declining. The newspapers realize that. That's why all your news outlets are now wanting you to subscribe. I don't know about you, like up here where we are, the local newspaper, their website, they want you to. It's not paid yet, but you must register. If you
I clicked on a link the other day
Yeah.
for a sports thing led to the Tide Cats, and when I clicked on it, went to the Hamilton Spectator, and to read it, I had to subscribe. I was like,
yeah, they know
forget that. I won't read your article. I don't care. Like,
again, that's, what do you do when you're a news agency and you're not getting the ad revenues in your newspaper because nobody's reading it? You've got to get your revenues somewhere. So now they're just going to block their content, and hopefully that the consumer will subscribe to it directly. And DC, as a company, is well aware of this. So part of the DC universe is that they're actually making digital comic books available right through the service, so you'll be able to read them on your device, whether it's your TV, your tablet. So that, in my mind, that's pretty smart because, I mean, as a comic book fan, you're extending the longevity. You're introducing a new fan base that may not pick it up any other way. So that's pretty cool.
Favorite part, a little quick. Anyways, my favorite part about the digital comic books. Yeah. If I find an image I like, I can actually screenshot it, save it to my phone as like my wallpaper and stuff.
Yeah, I just segue. I just updated my wallpapers on my phone with footage from the new Star Wars trailer.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. Yeah, so get this. Apple TV. What can you tell me about? You know anything about Apple TV?
A couple people I know have it. I didn't play with it. If it's an Apple product, I automatically get leery of it because they're so user friendly to make it a little harder to work with.
Yeah, I don't own anything Apple or iOS. I own nothing.
Other than that, I'm not too sure.
Okay, so check this out. Apple is launching what they're calling Apple TV Plus, and I'm not talking about the device. I'm talking about a streaming service.
Okay.
It's going to be $12.99 Canadian, and it is essentially Apple's answer to Netflix. It's going to consist of mostly third-party licensed content. But again, Apple is getting in bed with a bunch of the major U.S. Newspapers. So you're going to be able to get your newspapers through this Apple TV Plus. But interestingly enough, a bunch of the newspapers, and it didn't say all of them, but it said there's a few of them that are leery about the model, and they've declined. So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to go. And
do you know who's declined?
I don't know exactly. I'd have to look it up again.
Oh my God, I know. Yes, is this where Oprah was saying she's teamed up with Apple?
Yes.
And
yes,
everybody
Oprah
starts screaming like a bunch of hoot nannies.
So that's one of their big things.
And she's bringing her book club back.
So Oprah apparently is going to produce a bunch of documentaries for this service. And then the other big announcement was, do you remember back in the 80s, Steven Spielberg produced a television show called Amazing Stories?
No.
Okay, so think of it as like the Twilight Zone, but not like scary. It was just like weird kind of
not as cool.
Well, there's a really cool episode of Amazing Stories that has a very young Kiefer Sutherland and a bunch of other famous guys that you'd remember as part of the World War II bomber crew. Total side story, but one of the guys is an artist, a cartoonist, and he's also the belly gunner in this Mitchell bomber. Now they're coming in for a landing. They've been shot to hell, and the landing gear won't deploy. And the guy who's in the belly turret, he's trapped in there. They can't get him out. And they know they're going to belly in, and essentially they're resolved that he's going to die. But he basically draws this cartoon in the belly gun of the bomber, and then for landing gear, it's two candy canes and 2 donuts. And he's just staring. He's completely fixated on this picture, like he's willing it to happen. And in the end, it does. This cartoon whoop, 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 flops out of the bottom of the bomber. They land. They get him out of the belly gun, and then once they kind of snap him out of his stupor, the candy canes disappear in the plane, crushing the belly turret. But it's one of those. Ooh, yeah, totally.
Say, are you describing the end of Memphis Belle?
No. A lot of people do think of that too. But
yeah,
Amazing Stories. I'll find the segment and I'll get you a link for that.
Okay.
So Apple TV, they're going to reboot Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories. So I would expect that there's going to be like small vignettes in the style of the Twilight Zone. That'll be like these weird, fantastical, like, ooh.
Right.
Netflix has got a show like that right now. Black something. I haven't seen any of it yet. Now here's an interesting one. Discovery Channel is going to partner up with the BBC, and they're going to launch a streaming service sometime in 2020. And they're saying that it's going to be around $5 a month. It's a 10-year licensing deal between the two companies. And the new Discovery branded service is going to be the home for all of the BBC's natural history programs, including Planet Earth and Blue Planet, as well as new series developed jointly by the two companies, which will also include BBC series that will leave Netflix once those licensing deals expire, plus Discovery's own natural history and factual programming. None of which I really watch.
What service is that new show Grand Tour on?
That's on Amazon Prime Video.
Okay, because I saw the commercial for it. I was like, that's some pretty brilliant rebranding of the same concept, but just getting around the licensing bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, that whole Jeremy Clarkson thing, when that erupted, I don't think that the BBC was necessarily wrong for firing him. But I do admire, the fortitude of the other two. Like, well, fuck, he's the show. So if you fire him, we're going to. So,
right.
I think it was a smart move because those three guys, they really are the show.
The chemistry they have between the three of them.
Yeah. I'm presently, where am I? I'm about halfway through the first season. It's hard for me to get caught up on this stuff. Like, there's 3 seasons in, and I'm still partway through the first. But it's good. It really is good. So this one is interesting. Here's one for you. Warner Media is pairing up with HBO. They haven't put a name on what it's going to be, but they're saying that sometime in the third quarter of this year, they're going to launch a service. It's going to have 3 subscription tiers, with the lowest one being a movie-focused starter plan that's going to draw from the company's film library. Their mid-tier service is going to be considered a premium service with original programming and top draw movies, while the most expensive plan is going to combine both of those with some additional Warner Media library and licensed content.
Okay, so, I have a question here.
Yeah, go.
Because every time like the cartoon Batman came on, it was Warner Brothers that popped up.
Yep. Well,
so is there a conflict now with DC and Warner Brothers?
This is the
Warner
thing,
Media?
right? So Warner Media owns DC. So is there going to be some product content crossover? Like, are they going to? Okay. I don't know this, and I have all the same questions.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, this one, it raises some questions. Like, DC is owned by Warner. Will there be programming that's available on DC Universe? I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait and find out. And here's the other thing: HBO content in Canada. Like, we go back to the whole Crave /Crave TV. Again, you've got to be in bed with Bell to get it. So I can only assume that HBO is going to, whatever deal they have in place with Bell Media, they're going to let that expire, and that's probably what they're waiting for before they launch the service. At least if they're going to do it here in Canada.
Right.
Yeah. And now I've
Bit of a spider web.
Yeah. And now I kind of left the biggest one to sort of the end of what's coming here, because this is a huge one, and that's the Disney Plus service that's coming.
Oh,
so
boy.
yeah. We were talking at the end of the last show about the percentage of entertainment that Disney essentially controls, and it's in like the mid 30s. Like, when you think of 30% of anything, that's a lot. Yeah. So this was announced, oddly enough, the other day, April 11th. They gave a release date. They gave their pricing model, and this is the best part, right? So when they announced this thing, they said that it was going to be cheaper than Netflix. What they didn't tell you, that it was going to be cheaper than Netflix by half. So on November 12th.
Wow.
Yeah, November 12th, you're gonna be able to get the Disney Plus service at $7 a month, or $70 a year. So that, depending on what the exchange is, I would expect that to be somewhere between $12 and $13 Canadian.
Right.
But like, this is going to be like a juggernaut of services when you consider what they own, especially now that the Fox deal is complete. So now that they own 20th Century Fox and all the movie properties and all their not all, but all that syndicated stuff that they purchased in that deal,
right?
Most of the content the types of things that I would gravitate towards, I mean, is going to be on that channel. So like, this is going to be a must-have for me. But just that, like, when you think about what Disney owns, like, think about this stuff that Disney owned before the deal. They have all their animation properties. So we're talking all of their classic animated films from the 30s right up until the computer age. They have all of their live action remakes, which they're banking on. We've already had, what is it? The one with Angelina Jolie, Maleficent.
Right. Yeah.
Cinderella. Last year you had the reboot. Jon Favreau from Iron Man. He did The Jungle Book, and then there was Beauty and the Beast. That was late last year too. And now this year you've got what? You've got Aladdin. You've got Dumbo and The Lion King all coming this year. I would expect that is going to be the trend going forward. They're going to continue to live action treatment all their animated classics. Disney owns Pixar. So when you think about all the great Pixar movies that have been around over the years, they own that. And of course, you can't mention Disney without mentioning the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, 22 movies. Now get this, 22 movies. The worldwide gross on these, are you ready for this?
I think so.
18 billion with a B dollars with a capital B at the global box office. So
wow, and they got another one coming out.
Yeah, that's not including Endgame, which is going to drop here at the end of the month. So you're talking the highest grossing film franchise of all time, with no signs of slowing down. And now you're talking, what are they doing here? They are launching live action Marvel series that are being developed. One on Loki, one on Vision and the Scarlet Witch, and a third one that's going to be based around Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So
these are TV series now.
Yeah, these are series that Disney is developing for the streaming service specifically. And as far as I'm concerned, like the Bucky Barnes, Sam
Hmm.
Wilson thing, like you can't tell me that that's not going to be a Captain America series, because like both of these guys have been Captain America in the comic books. So it would only make sense that, Steve Rogers is going to, be absent from the MCU. Evan's contract. There's no sign or no real word if any of these guys are renegotiating their contracts. I mean, there's been several renegotiations throughout the years to get us to this point. But they're saying that a major character is probably going to die in this movie, and I think most of us are thinking it's going to be Steve Rogers. So um,
Hmm.
anything to do with Captain America would have to revolve around Sam Wilson or Bucky Barnes. So that's probably where that's going to go.
Hmm.
And of course, when Disney bought Lucasfilm way back when in a crazy multi-billion-dollar deal, they got not only Star Wars, but they got Indiana Jones. So, and believe it or not, did you see the last Indiana Jones?
What, the Crystal
Yeah,
Skulls?
Crystal Skull with
Yeah, we talked about this like 2 shows ago. Oh my
Shia
god,
LaJones.
Crystal Skulls was awful.
It was different. Um, would you believe that there's another one on the map for 2021
Yes, as like I said, we talked about 2 shows ago.
with Harrison Ford too? Yeah, 2021.
Is he going to try to escape from the seniors home?
Yeah, really. Hey, Indiana Jones and the escape from the retirement home. And that brings us to the other one. So not only does Disney own the highest grossing film franchise of all time, they own the second highest grossing film franchise of all time in Star Wars. So now that's like $9 billion franchise, which only makes sense, right? You've got 22 movies making 18. You got half as many movies, makes about half as much money. And that's just ahead of the Harry Potter franchise. Um, you're going to have two live action Star Wars TV series, which are actually coming to the service. One, The Mandalorian, which, by the way, the first footage from The Mandalorian dropped at Star Wars Celebration yesterday. So if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend you check it out.
Have you seen it yet?
Wait.
How many times have you seen it?
So here's the thing. I've been busy at work the last couple of days, so I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch a high res version of the trailer footage. But what I did see looks pretty interesting, and I suspect that they are sparing no expense on this Mandalorian series. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's in good hands. I mean, Jon Favreau, who played Happy Hogan in Iron Man, who did directed The Lion King, he is producing the show, and the very first episode is going to be directed by a guy by the name of Dave Filoni. So if you don't know who that is, Dave Filoni is the brainchild behind the animation division of Star Wars, and he has a very solid grip on sort of Star Wars as a living, breathing thing. Like as a fan, he really understands it. So if you haven't seen any of the animated stuff, you really should check that out. But
So he might start bringing it back towards where the books were kind of headed with. Do you think, or is it too late?
Hard to say. With the trailer footage that dropped the other day for the new film for The Rise of Skywalker, which is the title of the new episode 9 coming out. Spoiler, if you haven't seen it yet, you need to see it. The Emperor Palpatine is coming back for this one. So that, in a way, is a bit of a callback to the old books, to what they called the Dark Empire, where Palpatine had cloned himself several times actually, and continued to reign terror on the galaxy until he was finally defeated. But nobody really knows, how he's going to But then, so these are things that Disney has owned for years, and this is stuff that they already control. They decide what happens with it, but like the stuff that they're acquiring, like I didn't really realize the breadth of what exactly they're getting. But I will touch on a few of the things that they're picking up here.
So now they're acquiring some new things.
This is stuff that they are getting as a result of the deal.
Okay.
So, one, they're getting the Alien and Predator franchises. Not sure what you feel about those franchises. I mean, both of them I think are pretty much at a bit of a like, what the hell's going on? Especially the last Predator, the Shane Black movie. Even Shane Black acknowledges that movie was not what he originally envisioned. So not sure what went wrong there. And of course, Ridley Scott kind of stepped back into Alien and with his Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which were kind of polarizing in the fan community. Some people liked them, some people didn't. And that really put a damper on, I don't know if you're familiar with director Neil Blomkamp, who did District 9, Chappie, and Elysium. He did a pitch for an Alien movie that would have been the direct sequel to Aliens, James Cameron's film. So hopefully sometime down the road, maybe they can work out a deal and they can go forward with that. But yeah, so Alien and Predator, Avatar, highest grossing movie of all time, is now owned by Disney, with 4 sequels being shot concurrently right now, and those are going to be doled out between 2020 and 2025. Here's one that you probably can appreciate, and I put these two together because they're really within the same kind of space.
I'm all excited now.
Yeah. Deadpool and the X-Men franchise. So now,
boy.
Right. And I mean, for people who are fans of the MCU, this is the one that pretty much everybody's been talking about, is what is this going to do for the two franchises? And I say two because Deadpool has really had a lot of success as a standalone, even though he is within the bigger X universe.
Right.
So here's a cool thing though. As a Deadpool fan, Deadpool is the only character that was owned by Fox that is not scheduled to get a full out reboot. So
right. Don't mess with a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, and Ryan Reynolds, how passionate he is about that character. At the expense of making fun of himself in the Green Lantern movie, I would expect that. Yeah, so I would expect that if we see Deadpool in a future Disney project, which I can't imagine that we won't, I fully expect a fourth wall break where he will poke fun at Fox now that he's owned by Disney. I'm going on the record, and I'm going to say it's going to happen.
Who else has the capability of breaking the fourth wall, and who else has the fortitude to actually do it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So, what's the other one here? Oh, the Fantastic Four. So there's the last Fantastic Four. Did you see that?
No, that was a while ago, though.
Yeah. It was 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, one of the lowest scores for a superhero movie. 5%.
Wow.
But people love the Fantastic Four. Like, there's a reason why they're, Marvel's first family, right? I can't expect that a 5% fresh rating or rotten rating will prevent Disney from trying to do something with them. I'm just curious to see what Kevin Feige is going to do with these guys.
Who was your favorite character in Fantastic Four?
Fantastic Four, you see, they've got a lot of great villains, believe it or not. So probably somewhere between Doctor Doom, maybe going cosmic, maybe Silver Surfer, Galactus. But if we're talking the family themselves, I'm a big Ben Grimm fan. I love The Thing. I think he's a cool character. He's a very complex character.
Yeah.
But yeah. How about you?
When I was reading comics books as a kid, I think I kind of liked the Torch.
Yeah, Human Torch.
I think I liked him. Yeah, Mister. Because he had the sunglasses on when he was.
Yeah,
in the torch.
yeah.
Then, I don't know. I felt like he had more. I think he was more devastating, like his power.
Yeah. Did you see there was I think it was on Twitter. See, Chris Evans not too long ago put a tweet out about how now that the deal is done, he wants a buddy movie between a buddy cop style movie with with the Human Torch and Captain America.
No, I didn't.
Of course, that's all in humor, but that would be kind of funny. This next one, I had no idea that they were getting this. I guess I should have known, but the Die Hard franchise. So they just picked up on the Die Hard franchise. Which
hence the new one coming in.
Is there a new one? Oh wait, you know what?
Yeah, it's called.
I can tell you what the last one is called.
What's his last name?
McClane. That's right.
It's what it's called, McClane.
I totally forgot
We
about
talked about these 2 shows.
I know. And you think I would have picked that up in my research, but no.
You're so focused and zeroed in.
Better than Fantastic Four, though. A Good Day to Die Hard actually got 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, Die Hard, McClane could be good, or it could just be called Let a Dead Dog Lie.
You're ruthless.
I know. Honestly, the last one, and is this the one that Jai Courtney was in the last one, played the adult son? It was terrible. It was. Let's face it. It was like what's the other movie that's coming back? Oh, Bad Boys. Like Bad Boys 2. At one point, it's a cop movie. Then the next thing you know, they're invading another country. Like, what's going on? This isn't a cop movie anymore. So yeah, Die Hard's really kind of lost it for me. Here's a good one for you. Kingsman: The Secret Service. So
Okay.
we just got Kingsman, which is the big issue with Kingsman is that it carries an R rating, and like with any of the other R-rated properties that Disney just bought, there's some question about how they're going to market this stuff without damaging the Disney brand.
Right.
So I don't know how they're going to do that, but they have said that they are not opposed. Especially going back to Deadpool for a second, they've already said that they're not opposed to R-rated movies. They are concerned with how they're going to be marketed and or what branding are they going to use to put that out there. But Kingsman, both of those movies, they are fantastic. I love them. I had no idea. Get this. The Kingsman was written by a guy by the name of Mark Miller. Mark Miller is a comic book author, and it's based on what his shared universe, the Mark Millerverse, which also includes Kick-Ass and Wanted. Of course, the Kick-Ass franchise, the movie franchise, is owned by Lionsgate, and Wanted is owned by Universal. So there's no chance we're going to see those crossover, which is a shame because I think that would be really cool. And then here, this one, this is a no-brainer. Planet of the Apes.
I haven't seen any of the new ones. Like, I really enjoyed the older ones. Well, until they got a little silly.
You owe it to yourself to see them because arguably these are probably some of the best movies that Fox has put out in a decade.
But I did see the reboot. No, I did see the reboot actually. I'm
not talking about the one with Mark Wahlberg. I'm talking about
that's
one.
What I'm talking about.
Yeah, so not that one. Which
it
has its own merits. But the latest ones with Andy Serkis as Caesar, the title character. You absolutely need to see these. These are some of the best movies that Fox has done in like forever.
Okay.
So I can't imagine that Disney's going to let this one lie either. You have the perfect opportunity. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but when you get to the end of the last one, what was it called? War for Planet of the Apes, I think it was. When you get to the end, the apes, they're still not fully evolved like we saw them in the 1960s. So you have an opportunity to advance the timeline, and you could rehash all those movies from the 60s with these fully evolved apes that we didn't get to see in the reboot, which I kind of thought we were going to get to in the last one. We weren't 100% there yet. Like, we didn't really see them riding in with clothing on, and I mean, yeah, they carried guns and stuff, but they moved and they acted like primates. Yeah, so those are a selection of what Disney's picked up in the deal. So when you go back to that, hey, we have like 30 some percent of the world's entertainment content at our fingertips. Like I say, the Disney Plus service is going to be like, it's huge. For the price point, like I would have bought it for Star Wars alone, but when you factor in all the other stuff, which includes a lot of the types of stuff that I enjoy, it's a no-brainer that I'll be getting it.
And half the price of what Netflix is going to be.
Yeah,
they just announced the rates.
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, we just upgraded to 4K TV, and now I think we're paying for 4K. We pay what, $16.99 I think a month for that. I mean, it's still cheaper than any cable plan that's out there or any satellite plan, so it's still worth it. But that reminds me, I totally skipped over a part. If you were to take all the services that are available in Canada right now and you add them up, assuming that the numbers that I got here are even close.
Right. Good guesstimate anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see where to put that. Yeah. So if you were to buy into every paid service that's running right now, any idea what you think you'd be paying?
$150.
Not bad. A little more. So assuming that the numbers are right, when I put this down, you're looking at $197.52 before tax, or $223.20 all in. So I don't
cable bill.
I don't know how that. I have no idea how that compares to like a premium satellite package or a premium cable package. I assume it's more. To me, I can't imagine paying $200 for TV every month. I mean, I have a hard enough time paying that much for 2 phones every month, let alone TV.
Right. Well, that's if you got everything, though.
Yeah, that's everything. That's every paid.
I think there's more value in it though than your cable or satellite package.
You think so? Yeah,
because
probably.
There's a lot of premium stuff you don't get, and it would probably be up to $350, I think, if you wanted the same content.
Right.
And this stuff's on demand though too.
Yeah, I guess so, eh?
So there's some on demand with the satellite and cable, but a lot of the movies, right? Because they're showing movies on different channels. You can either buy it, and some of the TVs you have to PVR it, but it means you have to program it to do that, and you have to wait till it comes out.
Here's one for you. Like we love movies at our house. So with the decline of the rental model, like the video store, the physical, go to the store, pick a movie, spend 5 hours in the store looking at all the boxes and deciding those days are gone.
And then find out what the one you wanted actually is out.
Yeah. Cineplex, through their app, we rent movies all the time digitally, and it's great. I mean, as soon as it comes out digitally, it's there. I don't have to leave my house. I can.
And if you go to the theater, you can actually see it later on their app, right?
So yeah, if you go to what do they? So at least Cineplex, they have what they call their super ticket, which gives you an early digital copy of the film. But I don't know if it's a rental copy or a purchase, and that's a whole other story. When you buy a digital movie, are you buying the movie or are you not?
Right.
It's like everything else with a license.
You won't have the nice little case to put up on your shelf so
of course
you can see your movie collection.
You're buying a license to watch that movie. But what happens when the service that you're watching it on, what happens if that service goes defunct or you can't access it anymore? Or, I just foresee issues with this. It's the same thing with video games. You don't buy the game. You're buying a license to play the game. You don't own the game. You own a license.
Right. Which is something they've been always trying to get around for years, right?
Yeah.
Even back in the old VHS days.
I was talking with a friend of mine the other day. We were discussing sort of the licensing for video games and how if I can't physically buy the media, if I can't go to the store and buy the disc to put it in my console or to put it in my computer, then it's no good to me, because when I don't have the right to sell that, or I don't have the right to trade it in towards something new.
Exactly.
And it occurred to me that why can't the licensing agreements be expanded, much like they do with antivirus software? You buy any antivirus program, and you automatically get a license for multiple devices. So why couldn't my video game license be expanded to include multiple devices? And that's
it does on Stream. I have Stream, and I can re-download it on different devices.
So what if
I have to log in with my account to play it on either like if it's on my desktop or my laptop.
But what if I'm a console gamer? What if I have an Xbox and my son has an Xbox and my wife has an Xbox, and we all want to play some game together, multiplayer? We got to go. We got to go buy 3 copies of that game, right?
No, actually, my cousin showed me they share games somehow.
Oh,
not going to get into the details, but there is ways of doing it. I haven't done it myself. I've just heard about it.
Sounds like a great thing to me.
I'm actually shying away from the console, but anyways, that's another story. Maybe we'll have to do a show on video games soon.
With the new, what is it called now? It just came out the other day. It's not out yet, but they just released a trailer for it. The new Star Wars video game, Fallen Order, Jedi Fallen Order, single player, third person action adventure game. Looks sweet. But yeah, we'll talk about that one another time. So going back to TV, so that was everything that Disney now owns with the Fox deal. But
that was a long list.
Yeah. I probably couldn't talk about TV without talking about some of the biggest news, TV news in the month of April, and that is the return of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it came out last night, and the funniest thing when Game of Thrones comes out is the people who put up spoilers and the people who freak out over the spoilers. So even with Star Wars, I was putting up fake spoilers just to watch people get all ticked off and mad at me, and then they find out later it's a fake one anyways. But
you just like to wind them up, watch them go.
Yeah. One guy was saying he's going to unfriend anyone who puts up a spoiler or something. So I actually tuned out of Game of Thrones a while ago, and it wasn't anything. Really? It wasn't like Walking Dead where I just got sick of it and just like, this is stupid. I don't know. I missed a couple episodes, turned into I missed a season, and I almost forgot about it.
Have you thought about going back?
Yeah, of course. I don't even remember where I left off. It was sometime just after the Red Wedding.
So you've got a few to go. We're in a weird position because we don't we don't stream our content through any of the gray areas. We don't use questionable software. We genuinely like to pay for our content.
Right.
So for Game of Thrones, we've been waiting and getting the DVDs or the Blu-rays. So I'm always a season behind. So now I've got like literally months of like, don't tell me a damn thing. I don't want to hear a thing. Shut up.
Yeah.
And try not to read.
And with your store, like it's hard, right? Like,
I'm gonna read stuff anyway.
People come in are so excited to talk about it.
I already know that I'm gonna read stuff as it happens, and I'm gonna punch myself in the face for doing it.
It's good to know that you have these on discs because I'm gonna have to borrow them.
Yeah, absolutely, anytime.
No, but think of the binge worthy I've got lined up.
Yeah. Okay, so. Season Red Wedding, season 3.
We'll have to go. I'll just start from the Red Wedding because it's probably good. I think it was just a couple after, but
this is the final season of the show, so the show is ending.
I know.
So we've now surpassed Martin's writing. So now anything that Martin writes, which he's a producer on the show. He has a creative say on the direction that the show has gone and is going. Mm-hmm. So anything that he writes novel wise will reflect sort of what the viewers are going to see in the show. So now I know you've been absent for a while and faces have changed and characters have changed, but let me just put it out there for you. Who do you think is going to get the throne at the end of it?
You want to say Khaleesi. You really do.
Sure.
But my very uneducated opinion, because I haven't watched it really much, and based on the commercials I've seen, I kind of have an idea who's around. Everybody wants the young, or the young, but the short, the character there.
The young, the short guy, the
short Lannister.
Oh, Tyrion.
Yeah,
Tyrion.
Great
Lannister.
character.
Yeah,
everybody want. I have a feeling it's going to be Sansa.
Yeah, so I mean, she's definitely front runner.
Right, because then it's only her right because it was her father's.
For sure.
Technically, it's his right.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking. Your front runners are probably going to be. You got Cersei Lannister. She's a front runner. Sansa Stark. Khaleesi, like you say. Jon Snow. But that's not to say like some of your other supporting guys. And I've read some weird things.
Jon Snow though for sure, because like he's always been the bastard child, right?
Yeah.
So like complete underdog. There's no reason for it, but something will happen. And Khaleesi's too easy. That's like
it's kind of the in your face. That's the obvious one.
Yeah. No.
But
Way
Tyrion,
and
I like the idea of Tyrion. What about some of the other guys like crap? What's his name? The bald guy who was always.
Now, is he newish though? Since
no, he's been around since season 1. The bald guy. He was one of the advisors on the council.
Yeah.
Anyway, that guy, the Hound. The Hound. I've heard people say, "Hey, I'll make a bid for the Hound to get the throne." I don't see how,
that's
but
an outside chance.
Yeah.
Oh, the little one.
The girl?
The little Stark.
The boy or the girl?
The girl.
Arya.
Yes.
Arya Stark. Yeah, that's a good one.
She had that's it. And the Hound will be her hand.
Yeah.
Queen's hand.
Oh, that could possibly, that would be a good one too.
Because like they had a really neat dynamic when she had her little. Does she still have her sword?
She does, yeah.
Needle? Was it called Needle?
Yes.
Yeah. And when she like got that guy, and it was pretty. It was a pretty powerful scene. It was just like that's where she really won people over.
You're really you're going to have a lot of. She goes through major development that you may or may not like. But you need to get caught up on this.
Great, thanks.
Well, let me tell
football season's kind of slowed down a bit, so
it's probably it'll be easy. It'll be easy to get through this one because unlike the previous seasons, typical cable network show, 10 episodes. Not this season, 6 episodes. We're going back to 6.
Are they longer?
So this is the thing. Like the shortest episode, the shortest one is going to be episode 1, and that's it's been confirmed at 54 minutes. But from there, they start getting longer, and then your longest episode is episode 3 at 122 minutes, and then the final 2 episodes are 120 minutes each. So you're looking at like feature film length episodes, commercial free because that's HBO, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, even though it is only 6 episodes, you're getting a lot of content in there. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. Game of Thrones.
Wow.
Back this month.
Game of Thrones is or is not on Netflix.
Is not. It's an HBO show.
Otherwise you wouldn't be getting it. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
So much to wrap your head around.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? Game of Thrones, like it's kind of it's a phenomenon. Like it's been this landslide success, and so the other guys in the space, they all kind of, everybody wants their own Game of Thrones. Everybody wants that period fantasy thing that's going to be the next blockbuster. I mean, what did MTV tried? They tried adapting. What was it called? Was it the Shannara Chronicles, Sword of Shannara? I don't know if you read any of those. I didn't. I knew of them. I know they were pretty popular. They even got New Zealander. What's his name? The guy from he's an Arrow. Crixus from
Spartacus.
Yes, so they got him, and I don't think it did that great. But yeah,
that's something I'd like to see continue would be Spartacus.
Spartacus, yeah. Well, where do you
Even
go
though
with
the story ran itself out.
Where do you go with it? They got wiped out on the top of a mountain. That's kind of I don't know.
I want to see a Spartacus 300 crossover. I don't think at the time. I don't know if the time I would even allow that.
So, Amazon has actually said that they. What's funny when I say everybody wants their own Game of Thrones, Amazon has actually come out and said it in those exact terms. We want our own Game of Thrones.
So, let me guess. Willow.
Well, they can't because
every show they're just pouring.
Well, so funny. Willow's owned by Lucasfilm, so that's a Disney property. They can't get that.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Wow.
But they've gone around, and there's a bunch of major fantasy properties out there that
Robin
have been
Hood would be ridiculous because there's so many remakes, and there's even a new one. And
Robin Hood as a series, I don't know. It might work as a series, but like you think about like Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, that's been optioned for either film or TV, and there's a few other ones that have been optioned out there.
What about Lady Hawk?
Lady Hawk, that was a standalone movie. Who was in that? It
was a standalone. I don't think they could, but I'm just throwing ideas out there because it's got to be some sort of medieval times. Like I was so disappointed when I found out Game of Thrones wasn't historically accurate.
Well, then you're probably not going to like what Amazon's doing because they made a bid and they've secured the rights from the Tolkien estate to produce a Lord of the Rings TV series. Yeah. So there's been some sort of conflicting. Early reports said that it was going to be a young Aragorn story, but they've since actually come out and said no, that's not the case.
Yeah, I was wondering what you're going to do. Is it going to be a prequel or is it going to be after Lord
Well,
of the Rings?
here's the thing. So the movies, are you a fan of Tolkien's work? Have you read it?
Oh, I just love watching Bilbo walk around like this the whole time.
So the movies take place in what is known as the Third Age. And so the TV series is actually supposed to take place in the Second Age. So it's going to be a little over 3,000 years before the events of the movies. And it is said that this is going to sort of chronicle Sauron's rise to power.
Okay.
Saruman's rise to power is also the time period that the One Ring was forged and the ring wraiths were created. So that could be something to see. But get this. So Amazon has said they were talking about why they wanted this thing. I guess the order, it comes from the top, from like top levels at Amazon, that they are nervous that services like Netflix and HBO are churning out like blockbuster hits almost like yearly, and Amazon is still seen as a bit of a niche service. So they're hoping
what's the best thing Amazon has right now?
They got a couple of good things right now. We just finished watching The Expanse. Now they didn't make the three seasons of The Expanse. They didn't make it. That was actually done by the U.S. Sci-Fi Channel. When it got canceled, Amazon picked it up like the day it got canceled and immediately said they're going to produce a fourth season. So that's a great show if you haven't checked it out. The other one that we're watching right now, American Gods, based on the Neil Gaiman book, American Gods, which is a cool take on the old gods, which are kind of, Odin and a few other old gods are basically going to war with the new gods, which are essentially technology-based gods like the internet and media. Yeah, but it's a bit of an allegory for people's attachment to their devices, right? And it actually makes sense, like their worship, like gods. So that it's building towards this outright war between the old and the new. That's a pretty cool show. They've got the Jack Ryan thing. If you're a Tom Clancy fan, what else have they got?
Oh, did you see Because Jack Ryan, that's Buddy from The Office, right?
No, Jack Ryan is in like Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, like Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan.
Yeah, but isn't it played by?
Is it a guy from The Office? I don't know.
Yeah.
I was a fan of The Office, so I
Hold on,
couldn't
let me
tell you.
just double check here.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
pretty sure. Yeah. So that's he's the character in The Office. Have you seen The Office?
I've seen just like clips. I actually haven't watched a full episode, so
Okay, because so in the Office, his character and another character, Dwight, he's always playing tricks on Dwight. Dwight's a really oddball character, and so someone edited the two clips from Jack Ryan highlights with The Office together, and it was really well done.
I'm sure the comedic effect is really good.
It really is, though, because like there's certain clips where Dwight's going, he's ridiculous. You got to see The Office to really understand it. People who've seen it get it. So check it out. I don't even know what it's called, like Jack Ryan Beats The Office or something like that. Or
I'll look that one up.
I'll find it and I'll link it or something, or we'll put it in the links in the description possibly.
So yeah, Amazon Prime, Lord of the Rings series. This is a big deal. It's cost Amazon $250 million US to secure the rights.
Mm.
So this,
oh boy,
this is going back. This is going back to 2017, and part of the deal it includes for a multi-year series with possible spin-offs. But part of the licensing deal is that Amazon's got to start production within 2 years. So we're about to hit the second quarter of 2019. We should be hearing more about what this series is going to look like, and production has to start this year. Otherwise, they will lose the rights.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So, if you were in charge, would you go for Lord of the Rings as your version, or lack of a better term, of Game of Thrones?
I think so. I think
I
think Lord of the Rings is a fantastic choice given the fortitude of the property.
Right.
It's been around since what, the 50s?
You're gonna have your diehards who are gonna come check it out for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, there are people who are fans of Tolkien. Like, I think The Hobbit was the grade 6 class novel. And that's great. That's a kid's book, and it's written at a kid's level. But like, have you read Lord of the Rings, like The Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King?
No.
There's a lot of content in there in the book that it doesn't appear in the movie. And Tolkien's world building, it was so immersive, so deep that, depending on your reading style, you may find that to be a bit of a detractor. That being said, the thing's sold gajillions of copies since it was first published. It's still run, the estate controls everything, all the licensing. So, it's not going anywhere. I don't think off the top of my head that I could think of a bigger franchise that you could say to the general public, that you could name that people will go, oh yeah, I've heard of that. Like if I said, again, Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. Any idea?
No.
So
that's right, my version of the crickets.
When you're talking to the general movie going or the general, TV watching public, you need to give them something. You need to give them brand recognition, I guess. And Lord of the Rings is a great choice to do that. I
just don't know if it has the longevity. Depends what they do. Like if they do the prequel, like thousands of years prior, possibly.
Like you say, like it says, 3,000 years before the events of the movie. So there's a lot of room to tell stories in a 3,000 year period. Like, what do you focus it on? Like, who knows? Who knows?
So it's almost like we could have a fantasy brand draft.
Oh, absolutely.
Throw all the brands in. We'll sit there, have our two, and then what would you pick?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. Like I'm a big fan of the Dungeons and Dragons role playing game, which has had movie attempts. Like two theatrically. One theatrically for sure. The second one might have made it to theaters, but it's had like direct to DVD sequels. It had an animated show in the 1980s. Like, there's a property that has some longevity. Like, it's been around since 1974. Has like a huge fan base worldwide. It's coming into a bit of a renaissance now with the internet, where through things like podcasting, you have these live D&D sessions that are filmed and that are broadcast, and there are channels out there that the viewership is in the tens of thousands.
Wow.
So you have guys like Vin Diesel, who are big proponents. They're totally like, hey, I'm a big D&D fan, I love it. They've gone on the record, they've put some credibility to it, that it's not just for the socially weird. Yet nobody's really gotten the handle on it and treated it with arguably the budget that it would need to be a Hollywood blockbuster. But if it wasn't the Lord of the Rings, I would say, like, give me a Lord of the Rings budget, but make it a Dungeons and Dragons movie, because that, I think, would be pretty awesome. Or series. It would be
interesting. Actually, I remember my cousin got a copy of it when, I don't know, she must have been like 12.
Yeah. And
I remember everyone was scared, like, oh, it makes you go weird or something, or like it turns you into some cult. Or, like, I just remember thinking, like, why? It's an imaginary game with dice. Like, how does this do it to you? But
I think that's
back then.
That's one I want to talk about maybe on a future show. There's what they called back in the 1980s. They called it the Satanic Panic, and church groups. And, yeah, church groups.
I just remember episodes of Geraldo.
Church groups and parent groups were freaking out over how this Dungeons and Dragons, and how it was steeped in the occult, and it would, your kids were going to be worshiping Satan, and it really wasn't that way. We kind of know that now, but that was the collective, the mindset back then. And yeah, it was an interesting time to be a fan back in those days.
All right, so on our last show, I mentioned I was going to go see Shazam, and you weren't. However, turned around, you saw it, and I didn't.
I did see Shazam. I did.
So without spoiling it for everybody, what were your thoughts on Shazam? Because once again, Hollywood has taken something and kind of thrown a little bit of a comic spin on it.
First off, Shazam has been around for a long time. It's been around since the 1930s, and this movie really is a deep dive into the history of the character. So, like, there's stuff that goes right back to the beginning in the days of Fawcett Comics, which predates DC, before DC bought their stable of characters. So if you don't know the character of Shazam, there's really no homework for you to do, because the stuff is so old. It would be like you're experiencing it for the first time.
Okay.
Thematically, the movie is great. It has a real strong message about family, and what is a family, and what defines a family maybe isn't the same for everybody, and how the family dynamic can influence a person's journey, whether they take the hero's journey or whether they take the villain's journey. And you get to see both sides of that in the movie. You have a really, really cool cast of actors. All the kids, and I do mean this sincerely, all the kids in the movie, they're fantastic. So I can't think of the guy's name. Asher Angel, I think, is the guy who plays Billy Batson, the kid who becomes Shazam. He's I think he's, as far as child actors go, he's fantastic. And the kid who plays Freddie Freeman is a total scene stealer. So they have great chemistry together. And I don't think you could have picked a better actor to play Shazam in Zachary Levi. I mean, that guy is, he's like comedic gold. If you're a fan of his previous show, Chuck, if you like the character of Chuck Bartowski, then you have a pretty good idea of the mannerisms that you're going to see in the Shazam character, which is cool, because I mean, Shazam is essentially a 14, 15-year-old kid in a man's body. and he really pulls off that, what would a 14-year-old kid in a man's body, how would they act? And so
Right.
that's done very, very well.
Now, is that consistent? Because you get that from the commercials, from
Yep.
the ads. Now, is that consistent with the original story?
Yeah, I think so to a certain degree. But I mean, you got to
Yeah.
remember, you're talking a character that's older than Superman, right? So
Right.
the way that storytelling was a little bit different in the 1930s, where, I mean, for how long did Captain America fight the Nazis for, right? Before he came into the modern age. So, I mean, I don't think this version of Shazam is based on a more recent interpretation of that character that was from the early thousands in what DC called their new 52 universe. So certainly, like, visually, it's very much inspired by the new 52, and also sort of content as well. The idea of the Wizard of Shazam, that's consistent with the character as far back as the Fawcett comic days. How Shazam's powers are derived from the gods, like Zeus and Hercules and Mercury and a bunch of other Greco-Roman gods. That's sort of the Shazam is an acronym for all of these gods. That's consistent throughout. Yeah, I mean, it's a good movie. Like, people are talking that this might be the best movie in the DC stable since the new DC movie universe has started. Personally, I can't say that it tops Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, I think, is still the high watermark, but Shazam is easily the number two for me. It's not an outright. People say it's a comedy. I don't think it's an outright comedy. It's definitely an action comedy, but I think it's a very even mix of action beats with comedic moments. But yeah, it's got a lot of heart. It's you feel good watching it. When you see the kids doing their thing and they have their turn at sort of, the good guy. This is very much a, cowboys wear white hats and the villains wear black hats kind of movie, where the good guys are going to win, and when they win, it's a total feel good moment, and I found myself smiling pretty hard for it. It was really good.
All right, so
yeah,
you give her 2 thumbs up for sure then.
Yeah, I give it 4 lightning bolts out of 5.
All right, there you go. Right on, bud. Any movies you're going to be seeing in the next little while?
So next up for me on my must-see list is going to be Avengers Endgame, and then Godzilla King of Monsters. Those are the next 2 for me that I'm really, really looking forward to. Although after seeing the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker trailer, I want my Star Wars right now. Give it to me now. Yeah.
I got a lot of catching up to do. Like, I probably won't be going to see anything new in a while because, like I said, I'm far behind on everything.
Yeah.
The last Star Wars movie I saw was the 3rd prequel. I haven't seen anything after that.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen nothing.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, this last one that came out, The Last Jedi, without seeing it, I'm sure you couldn't not hear how polarizing, how divisive this movie was amongst the fan base.
Yeah.
Like, there are people that basically said, that's it, I'm done with Star Wars over this movie. Like, there's some really, really angry people. And I can't say that I wasn't one of them. Like, I had some serious questions as to the creative direction that they were taking the franchise, but this trailer for Rise of Skywalker, I'm not kidding, man. This thing reminds me exactly why I'm a Star Wars fan, how much I love Star Wars, and why, like, even when it's bad, it's still pretty darn good. And
we're just getting spoiled.
Well, maybe. There's also in the fan community, I think there's an acceptance that there's been a bit of Star Wars overload over the last few years. You've had a new trilogy, a new mainline trilogy. You've had 2 standalone films, and the Last Jedi and the Han Solo movie came out so close together that I think people who were really put off by the Last Jedi didn't give Solo an honest chance, and it's unfortunate because that movie was really good, but it just didn't
Really?
it just didn't get
I
the
haven't
box.
seen it, so I can't comment.
It's totally
I
worth
was interested though. I think it's kind of neat. I was like, so I'll probably see that. Like, it's a standalone too, right? Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
a prequel. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So this is the one. That's the one that Lord and Miller, the guys from the Toy Story, that's the one that they were supposed to do, and then they got fired. And then they did. They got fired, and Ron Howard came in and replaced them. That they were kind of, I guess Disney was not happy with the direction that they were going, and from all reports, they were treating it like it was a comedy, and that's really not what Disney wanted. Even though the Han Solo character has his comedic moments, you can't Will Ferrell that character. You can't Charlie's Angels that movie. You can't do the stupid comedy version of. It just doesn't work. So Ron Howard really came in and delivered a great movie. It's just a shame that all the people who were upset with The Last Jedi just did not give it a chance. So, and Disney's aware of that. They've already said that after Rise of Skywalker, that Star Wars as a film franchise is going to take a break, and we probably won't see another movie for at least a year, probably 2. And sure, because they're going to be putting all their time and money into their TV projects. So
that's right.
Yeah.
All right. Before I let you go, have you seen that new Star Trek series, Discovery?
So I'm not up to speed on season 2. I did watch all of season 1,
right?
But I am totally I have no idea what's going on right now. All I know is that when the first episode dropped, in the following days, I read some articles that said that the first episode of season 2 was better than all of season 1. And I really, really liked season 1. So I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get caught up on season 2. But yes, I am watching it. And as far as Star Trek series go, it's good. It's really good.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and the way he described it, it kind of made me a little interested to check it out. So,
I mean, first of all, are you a Star Trek fan?
I have been from time to time.
Okay. So, yeah, and I can take that for any number of ways, but yeah. So
right.
there are good Star Trek properties, and there are less good Star Trek properties.
Like I didn't like Deep Space Nine whatsoever.
Deep Space Nine took a long time to find its footing, and I'm right there with you. Like it didn't take off fast enough for me to want to go back. When it did pick up, I was just like, what? Oh yeah, Deep Space Nine, sure, whatever. Which now in hindsight, now that I'm a little bit older, maybe I should go back and give it a second chance. But in its original run, I mean, I watched the first couple of episodes and then I was like, no, this isn't for me. Not for me at all.
Right.
Did you like any of the rebooted movies?
I did. I actually liked I guess it would be the original one where it starts off with Kirk's a young lad who stole the car and
Thor is
Beastie Boys, which was awesome. And I felt the portrayal of the young Spock was bang on.
Yeah, Zachary Quinto, who at that point he played a great villain on Heroes, on the TV show Heroes.
I saw that.
Yeah. So
when it came out,
he totally campaigned for that role. He wanted the role of Spock and went out and got it. And great casting choice.
I thought he did great. Yeah.
And
even the guy who played Kirk, I thought was actually pretty good. I could believe that was Kirk.
Chris Pine. And there's it's unfortunate. Again, the last one didn't perform as well. So are we going to see any more movies in what they call the Kelvin timeline? I don't know. I personally thought I liked them. I thought they were good. I liked what they were doing with it. But the reason I ask if you're a fan of the rebooted movies is from a visual perspective, I feel like Discovery looks more like the Kelvin timeline than it does, say, the original series or Star Trek Enterprise, which are in the same continuity. So it's a very nice blend of old and new.
Have you seen the fan-made Star Trek, the original Star Trek series on YouTube?
You know what? I might have.
I forget what it's.
I think it went through a name change.
I forget what it's called, but I was trying to find some original Star Trek for some reason one night, and I found it, and it took me 5 seconds to realize it wasn't the original one, but it looks identical.
Yeah, that's the guy that built that.
Yeah, Sulu's played by the one guy from Mythbusters.
Oh, really? Grant Imahara?
Yeah, like you gotta check this out. It's actually cool. And so the original from the original series, these original episodes, basically that kind of. So it's kind of refreshing because, like, if you've seen all the original ones, but you kind of craving them, you got some new content that way, right?
I always point out for people who are fans of the original series, if you weren't aware of it or if you skipped out on it, you really should be watching the 1974 animated series that Filmation did. It's not only does the entire cast come back and reprise their voice roles.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of the writers that wrote episodes for the original series wrote episodes of the cartoon. So it's kind of like it's an unofficial fourth season to the original series, and it's very well done.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This goes back to the time where not having cable or satellite, just my antenna, watching reruns of Star Trek late at night down in my room in black and white.
Well, I skipped out on the original. Like, I mean, it's been on forever. And has done better in syndication than it ever did in its original run. But I found, like, as a kid, I mean, I had the attention span of a gnat. If it wasn't moving fast and exploding and flashy lights, I wasn't interested, right? So when you really go back and look at those old episodes and you kind of go, oh, man, the effects on this are pretty janky. It was really hard to watch. But then you fast forward to the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and then they did the remastered, and the remastered version of the original series updated all the special effects to early TNG next generation quality special effects. That upgrade in the effects really made it easier for me to watch, and once I did start watching it, I started to realize that the writing on this is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that could just be an age thing.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap up with my theory, which probably isn't a groundbreaking theory, and people probably discussed it years ago, how Star Trek and Star Wars can exist in the same dimension or whatever.
Yep.
It's right in the beginning. So, because we all know Star Trek's in the future.
That's right.
And what are the first few sentences of every Star Wars movie?
Lucasfilm. The Lucasfilm logo. No, I get it.
It always says, how's it go? A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Yeah. And we all know Star Trek's in the future, and it's basically based out of Earth. Because
that's not one I've ever heard. Oh, Star Trek, yes. Star Wars.
Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek for sure.
Star Wars.
Sure. Yeah, so that's right.
Star Wars is the past. Star Trek is the future.
Yeah, Star Wars is like the future of the past in another place. Yeah, totally.
So that's my little theory.
Yeah, and, I'm a fan of both properties. I mean, I have a collection of Enterprise ships and figures in our toy collection at home, and
right behind your hand on the wall, you can see your lightsaber.
There's my lightsaber. There's my reproduction poster.
Yeah.
And so I'm a fan of both properties. There's room for all that stuff in my fandom. I love it all.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to get rolling here. Thank you so much again. And I guess
it's been a great conversation.
I probably won't be back at the store till May-ish now, so I might even be in my shorts by then.
I hope so. I really do, because the last couple of days have been like you have this like, oh look, you get a tease of sunshine, and then the next day it's like weather warning, severe rain. Like what? What's going on?
I would be curious though if anyone else had some ideas that they want to throw at Wes and his nerdum, because that was a really good and extensive piece there he did on cutting the cord.
Yeah, cord cutting and streaming. I mean, it's I think that's by and large, I think with all of the network, no, not necessarily the networks, but the people who own own the content, the studios, wanting to get involved in this, what choice are you going to have? You're going to pirate it, or you're going to pay for it. And if you're going to pay for it, you kind of want to get the best value for your dollar. So I don't know.
I can only see positive and good things coming down the stream.
Well, I mean, the CRTC, they're already, I mean, they've tried to get involved with their forcing the telecoms to make that basic cable package available. But I mean, the telecoms are stupid. They're a for-profit thing. They'll find a way to make their money. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, the direct to consumer model, I'm okay with it. Am I going to miss out on some things that I might otherwise have been able to get the old way? Yeah, but I mean, there's still the other direct to consumer model, and that's digital download, whether I purchase it or I go to the store and I buy a DVD, as long as physical media is still a thing, which I still
for now anyway.
Yeah.
Like, actually, my computers don't even have a disk drive.
Mine's a little bit older. My laptop's a bit older, so I still have one.
But anyway, so
great show. I would reiterate the same thing. If there's content out there that you guys are interested in that you'd like us to cover, I'm up for a challenge. And as always, as the de facto nerd content here on the show, I am always up for diving down a new fandom hole. So if there's something you want us to go over, let us know.
Awesome. All right, bud. We'll have a good week, and I'll talk to you next week.
All right, let's do it again soon.
Yeah, bud.